Story 1. I started working at Fresh Fusion Smoothie Bar about 8 months ago, right after I dropped out of culinary school. Turns out I hated the pressure of fine dining kitchens, but I still liked making food for people. Smoothies seemed low stress. Fruit, ice, blender, done. The shop was in a busy shopping plaza, sandwiched between a yoga studio and a phone repair place. We got a steady stream of health-conscious customers and people who just wanted something cold and sweet. The menu was pretty straightforward. Green smoothies, fruit smoothies, protein smoothies, acai bowls. Everything was made to order. We had standard recipes, but customers could customize however they wanted. Extra protein, less ice, add chia seeds, whatever. The blenders were commercial grade, powerful enough to pulverize whole frozen bananas in seconds. Most customers were easy. They ordered, we made it. They left happy. Simple transaction. Then she walked in on a Wednesday afternoon. I was working the counter with my coworker Jake, who was new and still learning the recipes. We had maybe 3 other customers in the shop, sitting at the small tables along the window. She approached the counter studying the menu board like it was written in code. I gave her a minute, then smiled. Hi, what can I get for you today? Karen, I need something refreshing but substantial, with texture. Our Berry Blast has strawberries, blueberries, and banana. It's pretty popular. Karen, is it smooth? Yes, we blend everything until it's smooth. That's kind of how smoothies work. Karen, I want texture though. Personality. We have acai bowls with granola and fruit on top if you want something with more texture. Karen, no, I want a smoothie, but not too smooth. I want to feel the ingredients. I can blend it a little less if you want it chunkier, but it might be harder to drink through a straw. Karen, perfect. I want the Berry Blast, but chunky, with personality. Sure, I can do that. I rang her up and she paid. Jake started making her smoothie while I helped the next customer. Jake followed the recipe, adding all the ingredients, but he blended it for about half the normal time. When he poured it into the cup, you could see small chunks of fruit. It definitely had texture. I called her name and handed her the smoothie. She took one sip through the straw, and her face transformed into pure disgust. Karen, what is this? That's your Berry Blast. We blended it less like you asked. Karen, this is completely wrong. What's wrong with it? Karen, it's too blended. I can barely taste the individual fruits. This has no personality. You asked for it chunky. That's as chunky as we can make it and still have it be drinkable. Karen, no, this won't do. I need it chunkier, much chunkier. If we blend it less than this, it's going to be basically a cup of fruit chunks with liquid. You won't be able to drink it. Karen, that's what I want. I want to experience each ingredient individually. That's just fruit salad in a cup. Karen, exactly. Make it like that. I looked at Jake. He shrugged. Okay? But just so you know, it's probably going to be more like eating than drinking. Karen, I don't care. Remake it properly. Jake dumped out her first smoothie and started over. This time he barely blended it at all, just pulsed it a few times. When he poured it into a cup, it was basically chunks of frozen fruit with some juice at the bottom. He couldn't even get a lid on it properly because the chunks were too big. I brought it to the counter. Here you go. But you definitely can't use a straw with this. She grabbed the cup and tried to take a sip. Obviously nothing came up through the straw except a tiny bit of juice. Karen, I can't drink this. Right, that's what I said. You asked for it barely blended. Karen, I asked for personality, not an eating assignment. This is incompetence. You specifically said you wanted it chunkier with less blending. Karen, I wanted it chunky but still functional as a beverage. This is deliberately bad. We made it exactly how you asked. Twice. Karen, I want a refund. You already drank half of the first one. Karen, Because I was trying to see if it would get better. It didn't. This is false advertising. Your sign says smoothies, not chunky fruit disasters. Me, our smoothies are normally smooth. You're the one who requested it chunky. Karen, I requested personality. This has aggressive personality. This is personality disorder in a cup. A couple of customers at the tables were watching now. Me, I'm sorry you're not happy with it, but we made it how you asked. We can't give you a refund. Karen, can't or won't. Me, both. You ordered a custom smoothie. We made it custom. That's not grounds for a refund. Karen, this is theft. You took my money and gave me garbage. Me, we gave you exactly what you ordered. Her face went red. She picked up the cup and looked at it like it had betrayed her. Karen, fine. If you won't take responsibility for this disaster, I'll dispose of it myself. Me, there's a trash can right there by the door. Karen, I'm not using the trash can. She walked over to the condiment station where we kept napkins, straws, and lids. Before I could process what was happening, she tilted the cup and started pouring the chunky smoothie directly into the napkin dispenser. Me, what are you doing? Karen, disposing of your defective product in a way that reflects the quality of your service. Purple juice and fruit chunks spilled into the dispenser, soaking the napkins and dripping onto the counter. She kept pouring until the cup was empty. Jake ran out from behind the counter. Jake, ma'am, stop. She placed the empty cup down on the counter. Karen, that smoothie was trash, so I put it where trash belongs, with the rest of your supplies. Me, you just vandalized our store. Karen, I artistically expressed my dissatisfaction with your product. Me, you poured smoothie into our napkin dispenser. Karen, smoothie is a generous term for what you served me. I pulled out my phone. Me, I'm calling the police. Karen, for what? Throwing away a smoothie? Me, for destruction of property and creating a health hazard. Karen, it's fruit, it's healthy. Me, it's vandalism. Her confidence faltered slightly. Karen, you can't call the police over napkins. Me, I absolutely can. I dialed. While I was on with the dispatcher, Karen started backing toward the door. Karen, this is an overreaction. I was making a statement about customer service. Me, you destroyed property because you didn't like something you specifically asked for. Karen, I'm leaving. You can't keep me here. Me, the police can. She practically ran out the door. I gave the dispatcher her description and the direction she went. Then I looked at the napkin dispenser. Purple smoothie was everywhere, dripping down the counter onto the floor. The napkins were completely ruined, soaked through with berry juice. Jake grabbed paper towels and started cleaning. Jake, what just happened? Me, someone ordered a smoothie with personality and then gave it way too much personality. One of the customers at a table came up to the counter. Customer, I recorded the whole thing on my phone if you need it for the police report. Me, that would actually be really helpful, thank you. Customer, she really just poured smoothie into your napkin dispenser because it wasn't chunky enough. Me, because it was too chunky. After she asked for it chunky. Customer, makes perfect sense. The police showed up about 15 minutes later. They took statements from me, Jake, and the customer who filmed it. They said they'd look for her in the area and follow up. We spent the next hour cleaning smoothie out of everything. The napkin dispenser was completely destroyed. We had to throw it away and order a new one. The counter needed deep cleaning. Some of the smoothie had dripped into the crack between the counter and the wall. My manager came in for the evening shift, and I had to explain what happened. He watched the video the customer had sent us. Manager, she really said it needed personality. Me, multiple times. Manager, and then poured it into the napkin dispenser. Me, dramatically. Manager, I hate this job sometimes. The police found her about an hour later at a coffee shop 2 blocks away. She was charged with vandalism and banned from the shopping plaza. We got a new napkin dispenser 3 days later. It was exactly the same as the old one. No personality whatsoever. Which was exactly how we liked it. Story 2. I've been the property manager at Riverside Apartments for about 4 years now. It's a decent building. 12 units, mostly young professionals and a few retirees. The usual issues come up. Parking disputes, noise complaints, the occasional water leak. Nothing I can't handle. Most tenants are reasonable people who just want a quiet place to live. Then there's Apartment 7. The tenant in Apartment 7 moved in about 6 months ago. She seemed normal at first. Paid her deposit on time, signed the lease without issues, asked reasonable questions about trash pickup and laundry hours. I thought she'd be fine. I was extremely wrong about that. The problem started about 2 months after she moved in. I got an email from her at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night. The subject line was urgent botanical hostility issue. I figured maybe there was a tree branch hitting her window or something. I opened the email. It was 17 paragraphs long, single-spaced, no breaks. It detailed how her neighbor in Apartment 8 had plants on his balcony that were growing in her direction. She claimed this was intentional. She said the plants were positioned to invade her personal space. She used the phrase aggressive foliage 3 times. I responded the next morning with a polite message explaining that plants grow towards sunlight and that her neighbor was allowed to have plants on his balcony per the lease agreement. I thought that would be the end of it. It was not the end of it. She showed up at my office 2 days later with printed photographs. She had taken pictures of her neighbor's balcony from multiple angles. She'd drawn red arrows on the photos pointing at various plants. A tomato plant, some herbs, a small ficus tree in a pot. Karen, look at these growth patterns. They're clearly directional. Me, plants grow toward the sun. Ma'am, your neighbor's balcony faces south. The plants are just following natural light patterns. Karen, no, these plants are growing at me. Specifically at my balcony. This is targeted botanical aggression. Me, I can assure you that plants don't target people. They respond to environmental factors like light and water. Karen, then explain this. She slammed down another photo. It showed the ficus tree. She had circled one branch in red marker. Karen, this branch is pointing directly at my living room window. That's not a coincidence. Me, that's a branch. Branches grow in all directions. That's how trees work. Karen, I can feel the judgment coming from these plants. Every time I'm on my balcony, they lean toward me. They're watching me. I took a deep breath. In 4 years of property management, I'd dealt with a lot of strange complaints. Someone once insisted their downstairs neighbor was secretly a vampire because they never saw him during the day. Another tenant believed the building's water supply was making her thoughts visible. But this was the first time someone had accused plants of psychological warfare. Ma'am, I understand you're concerned, but plants don't have the capacity to judge or watch anyone. They're plants. If you're uncomfortable with your neighbor's balcony garden, you could consider getting curtains or spending less time looking at his balcony. Karen, so you're taking his side. You're enabling this hostile environment? Me, I'm not taking sides. I'm explaining basic botany. She left my office angry. I made a note in her file and hoped that would be the end of it. It was not the end of it. The next complaint came a week later. She called me at 7 in the morning. Karen, the ficus moved. Me, I'm sorry, what? Karen, the ficus tree, it moved overnight. Yesterday the main branch was pointing at my bedroom window. Today it's pointing at my balcony door. It's tracking my movements. Me, trees don't move overnight. Maybe the wind shifted some branches. Karen, this wasn't wind. This was intentional repositioning. You need to do something about this. Me, what exactly would you like me to do? Karen, make him get rid of the plants. All of them. They're creating a threatening atmosphere. Me, your neighbor has every right to have plants on his balcony. As long as they're not damaging property or violating building codes, there's nothing I can do. Karen, then I'll document this myself. I'll prove these plants are hostile. She hung up. I sat in my office wondering if I needed to add plant-related paranoia to my lease agreement somehow. My assistant asked what that call was about. I told her. She laughed for a solid minute. 2 days later, I got a noise complaint from apartment 6, the tenant below apartment 7. She said there was yelling coming from the balcony above her. Loud, angry yelling that had been going on for 20 minutes. I grabbed my keys and headed up. When I got to the 7th floor, I could hear it from the hallway. Someone was definitely yelling. I knocked on apartment 7's door. No answer. The yelling continued. I used my master key and let myself in. The tenant was on her balcony screaming at her neighbor's ficus tree. "Karen, admit it. Admit you're growing at me. I know what you're doing." I stepped onto the balcony. She was holding her phone up, recording the tree. The ficus was sitting completely still in its pot on the neighbor's balcony, doing what ficus trees do, which is absolutely nothing. "Ma'am, what are you doing?" She spun around, still holding her phone. "Karen, I'm gathering evidence. I'm going to prove these plants are judgmental." You're screaming at a tree." "Karen, I'm creating conditions for observable response. Watch." She turned back to the ficus and yelled directly at it. "Karen, you're a judgmental plant, and everyone knows it." The tree didn't respond, obviously, because it was a tree. But then a light breeze came through and rustled some of the leaves. Her eyes went wide. "Karen, see? Did you see that? It reacted. It rustled at me. That's proof." "That was wind." "Karen, that was a response. I have it on video." She was waving her phone around triumphantly. I could see her neighbor watching from his balcony now, completely confused about why someone was screaming at his plant. Ma'am, I need you to stop yelling at your neighbor's plants. You're disturbing other residents." "Karen, I'm documenting hostile flora. This is evidence for my case." What case?" "Karen, the case I'm building against apartment 8 for maintaining threatening vegetation." The neighbor had come to his balcony door now. "Neighbor, is she okay? She's been yelling at my ficus for like half an hour." "Karen, your ficus is a bully." "Okay, we're done here." "Ma'am, inside. Now." I managed to get her back inside her apartment. She was still clutching her phone, muttering about conspiratorial plants and directional growth patterns. I closed her balcony door. Listen to me very carefully. Plants do not judge people. Plants do not have opinions. Plants grow towards sunlight. That is the only motivation plants have. Your neighbor is allowed to have plants on his balcony. If you continue to harass him or his plants, we're going to have a serious problem. Do you understand? Karen, you're suppressing evidence of botanical aggression. I'm telling you to leave your neighbor and his plants alone. Consider this your official warning. I left before she could argue more. I went next door and apologized to the neighbor. He was still bewildered. "Neighbor, why is she mad at my ficus?" I honestly have no idea. But if she bothers you again, call me immediately." "Neighbor, should I move the plants?" No. You're not doing anything wrong. Keep your plants. Enjoy your plants. Water your plants. Your plants are innocent in all of this." I went back to my office and updated her file. Called the building owner and explained the situation. We agreed to monitor things closely. If she kept harassing the neighbor, we'd have grounds for lease violation. She sent me the video that night. 43 seconds of her yelling at a ficus tree, followed by a slight rustle of leaves. She had added text annotations, arrows pointing at the movement, red circles around specific branches, a caption that said proof of judgmental growth patterns. I didn't respond to the email. The complaints continued for another 2 weeks. She insisted the tomato plant was spying on her. She claimed the herbs were coordinating with each other. She said the entire balcony garden was part of a conspiracy to make her feel uncomfortable in her own home. Finally, the building owner and I gave her an ultimatum. Stop harassing the neighbor and his plants, or we'd pursue eviction. She moved out a month later, said the building had hostile energy, said she needed to live somewhere without judgmental vegetation. The neighbor's plants are still there. They're growing nicely. The ficus got bigger over the summer. The tomatoes produced fruit. Not once did any of them exhibit judgment, hostility, or awareness of human existence. Because they're plants, and that's what plants do. They just grow, in whatever direction the sunlight takes them. Without agenda, without malice, and definitely without the ability to judge anyone. No matter how loud you yell at them. Story 3. I'd been working as a medical assistant at Riverside Pediatric Clinic for about 3 years when the incident happened. The job wasn't glamorous, mostly taking vitals, updating charts, and keeping exam rooms stocked. But I liked working with kids, and the doctors were good people who actually cared about their patients. I was saving money to go back to school for my nursing degree, and the clinic offered tuition assistance after 2 years, so it worked out. We saw everything at the clinic. Routine checkups, vaccinations, sick visits, sports physicals. Most parents were reasonable. They brought their kid in, we figured out what was wrong, sent them home with treatment. Easy. It was a Tuesday morning in February, right in the middle of cold and flu season. We were fully booked with sick kids. Coughs, fevers, runny noses, the usual winter stuff. I was rooming patients for Dr. Patel, one of our most experienced pediatricians who'd been practicing for 20 years. I called the next patient from the waiting room. A woman walked in carrying a boy who looked about 4 years old. He was alert, playing with a toy car, occasionally sniffling. Nothing about him screamed emergency. I brought them to exam room 3 and started taking vitals. Me, so what brings you in today? Karen, my son is very sick. Extremely sick. I can sense it. I looked at the boy. He smiled at me and made his car zoom across the exam table. Me, what symptoms is he having? Karen, he's been sneezing. And his nose is running. Clear discharge, but still, it's excessive. Me, okay. Any fever? Karen, no, but that doesn't mean anything. Me, any cough, vomiting, diarrhea, rash? Karen, just the sneezing and runny nose. But I know something is deeply wrong. I took his temperature. 98.6 degrees. Perfect. His oxygen saturation was normal. Heart rate normal for his age. Me, his vitals all look good. Dr. Patel will be in shortly. Karen, make sure she takes this seriously. I'm his mother. I know when something is wrong. Me, of course. She'll do a thorough exam. I left and updated the chart. Entered the vitals, noted the symptoms. Chief complaint, runny nose and sneezing, 2 days duration. No fever. Vitals normal. Kid looked healthy and active in the room. Dr. Patel reviewed the chart and went in. I followed to assist since we were training a new medical assistant, and I was showing her the workflow. Dr. Patel, good morning. And who do we have here? The boy held up his toy car. Boy, it's a race car, vroom vroom. Dr. Patel, wow, that's a fast one. I'm going to check you real quick to make sure you're feeling okay. Is that all right? The boy nodded, still playing with his car. Dr. Patel examined him thoroughly. Listened to his lungs, checked his ears, looked at his throat, felt his lymph nodes. The whole standard sick visit exam. Dr. Patel, well, everything looks good. His lungs are clear, no ear infection, throat looks fine. This appears to be a simple cold. Very common this time of year. Karen, a cold? That's it? Dr. Patel, yes, just a viral upper respiratory infection. It should clear up on its own in a few days. Make sure he gets plenty of fluids and rest. Karen, no, that's not right. This is more than a cold. Dr. Patel, I understand it's concerning when your child is sick, but based on my examination, he has classic cold symptoms. No fever, no signs of bacterial infection, lungs are clear. Karen, you're not listening to me. I know my child. Something is seriously wrong. Dr. Patel, can you tell me what specifically concerns you? What makes you think this is more than a cold? Karen, my maternal intuition. I can feel it. There's something wrong that you're not seeing. Dr. Patel, I appreciate that parents know their children well, but medically speaking, all of his vital signs are normal and his exam is completely benign. He has a runny nose and some sneezing, which indicates a mild cold virus. Karen, you're gaslighting me. Dr. Patel paused. Dr. Patel, I'm sorry? Karen, you're gaslighting my maternal intuition. I'm telling you something is wrong, and you're dismissing me like I'm crazy. Dr. Patel, I'm not dismissing you. I'm giving you my medical assessment based on examining your son. He has a cold. Karen, I want tests. Blood work. X-rays. Something to find what you're missing. Dr. Patel, there's no medical indication for those tests. His exam is normal. Running unnecessary tests on a child who clearly has a simple cold wouldn't be appropriate medicine. Karen, so you're refusing to run tests. Dr. Patel, I'm declining to order tests that aren't medically necessary. It would expose him to unnecessary procedures for no clinical benefit. Karen, this is negligence. I'm telling you my inner prophecy is screaming that something is wrong, and you won't investigate. Dr. Patel, your inner what? Karen, my inner prophecy, my spiritual connection to my child's well-being. It's telling me he needs full body scans. Dr. Patel, ma'am, we don't order full body scans for cold symptoms. That would involve radiation exposure that could actually harm him. Karen, so you'd rather let him suffer with whatever mysterious illness he has than run simple tests. Dr. Patel, he doesn't appear to be suffering. He's playing happily and his vitals are perfect. The boy was indeed still zooming his car around, making engine noises, completely oblivious to his mother's panic. Karen, just because he's acting normal doesn't mean he is normal. Children hide their pain. Dr. Patel, while that can sometimes be true, in this case, there are no clinical signs of anything beyond a common cold. No fever, no respiratory distress, no concerning symptoms. Karen, I want a second opinion. Dr. Patel, that's absolutely your right. I can provide you with a referral if you'd like. Karen, I want one now. Get another doctor in here. Dr. Patel, our other doctors are with patients, but I assure you, any pediatrician would tell you the same thing. This is a cold. Karen, you're all in on it together. The whole medical establishment gaslighting mothers who actually pay attention to their children. Dr. Patel, I'm not gaslighting anyone. I'm providing you with an accurate medical diagnosis. Karen, I want full body scans. MRI, CT scan, PET scan, whatever you have. I want his entire body checked. Dr. Patel, I'm not going to order those tests. They're not indicated and they would be harmful. Karen, then you're refusing treatment. Dr. Patel, I'm refusing to perform unnecessary procedures. The treatment for a cold is rest and fluids, which I've recommended. Karen, what about antibiotics? Dr. Patel, antibiotics don't work on viruses. They would do nothing for a cold and could cause side effects. Karen, so you're just going to do nothing while my child suffers. Dr. Patel, your child isn't suffering. Look at him. We all looked at the boy. He was making his car jump off the exam table into his other hand, giggling. Karen, that's just adrenaline masking his symptoms. Dr. Patel, that's not how adrenaline works. Karen, I'm reporting you to the medical board for refusing to respect maternal intuition and inner prophecy. Dr. Patel, you're welcome to file any complaint you feel is necessary. But my diagnosis stands. Your son has a cold. Karen, fine, we're leaving. I'll find a real doctor who actually listens to mothers instead of gaslighting them. She snatched her son off the exam table. He dropped his car and started crying. Boy, my car. I picked it up and handed it to him. He stopped crying immediately and went back to playing with it. Karen stormed out of the exam room with him. We could hear her in the hallway yelling about medical malpractice and maternal intuition all the way to the front desk. Dr. Patel sighed and sat down to update the chart. Dr. Patel, in 20 years, I've been accused of many things. Gaslighting maternal prophecy is a new one. Me, do you think she'll actually file a complaint? Dr. Patel, probably. They all do. Then the board reviews it, sees the chart note showing a completely normal exam for a child with cold symptoms, and dismisses it. Me, should we be worried? Dr. Patel, no. I documented everything. Normal exam, normal vitals, classic cold presentation. I offered appropriate treatment recommendations. That's all I can do. The new medical assistant looked confused. Numa, what was she expecting you to find? Dr. Patel, I have no idea. Something that would validate her feeling that she has special intuitive powers about her child's health. Me, instead of just accepting, he has a cold like millions of other kids right now. Dr. Patel, exactly. We heard more yelling from the front desk. The office manager came back. Manager, she's demanding we note in the chart that you refuse to order full body scans based on her prophecy. Dr. Patel, I'll note that I declined to order medically unnecessary imaging studies for a child with an uncomplicated viral upper respiratory infection. Manager, she's also demanding a full refund because you didn't respect her intuition. Dr. Patel, we provided an appropriate medical evaluation. No refund. Manager, that's what I told her. She's threatening to leave bad reviews everywhere. Dr. Patel, she can do that. Doesn't change the fact that her kid has a cold. The manager went back to deal with her. We could hear the argument continuing at the front desk for another 5 minutes before she finally left. Dr. Patel finished her chart note and moved on to the next patient. 2 weeks later, the boy was back for his regular checkup. Different parent brought him in this time. The dad. Dr. Patel, how's he doing? Did that cold clear up? Dad. Yeah, it was gone in like 4 days. My wife was convinced he was dying, but I told her it was just a cold. Dr. Patel, your wife seemed very concerned. Dad, she gets like that. Reads too much stuff online about rare diseases. Every sniffle is a medical emergency. Dr. Patel, well, he looks great now. Dad? Yeah, he's fine. Sorry about whatever she said last time. She told me she reported you to everyone she could think of for not taking her seriously. Dr. Patel, it's fine. I'm used to it. Dad, she also wants me to ask about genetic testing to see if he's predisposed to getting colds. Dr. Patel, that's not a thing. Dad, that's what I told her. The appointment continued normally. The kid was healthy, still playing with toy cars, still completely fine. Just like Dr. Patel had said 2 weeks earlier when her maternal prophecy declared a medical emergency. Story 4. I've been driving a street sweeper for the city for about 7 years now. It's steady work with decent benefits and a pension. Most people don't even notice me when I'm doing my route. I drive down the street, the brushes spin, the vacuum sucks up debris, and I move on to the next block. Simple, peaceful. I listen to podcasts and clean streets. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. My route covers the downtown residential area. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. Same streets every week. I know every pothole, every tight corner, every house with the big oak tree that drops leaves year-round. The residents know the schedule too. Most of them move their cars the night before. Some forget and get tickets. That's not my problem. I just clean. Last Thursday started like any other Thursday. I had my coffee, started up the sweeper, and headed out. The machine hummed along nicely. I was listening to a podcast about ancient Rome. Everything was normal until I hit Maple Street. There was a woman standing in the middle of the road, just standing there, arms crossed, directly in my path. I slowed down and stopped about 20 feet away from her. Maybe she hadn't seen me coming. Maybe she was having some kind of emergency. I stuck my head out the window. Me, morning, need to get through here. She didn't move, didn't even look at me, just stood there staring straight ahead like she was posing for a statue. Dispatch, officers are en route. I turned off the engine and settled in to wait. The woman remained seated in the street. She had closed her eyes now and was humming something. More neighbors had come out to watch. Someone was definitely recording on their phone now. The dog walker approached carefully. Dog walker, excuse me. You're blocking the whole street. Karen, I'm exercising my constitutional right to peaceful assembly. Dog walker, you're sitting in the road. Karen, the road is public space. That means it's my space too. Dog walker, but people need to drive here. And apparently this guy needs to clean it. Karen, the street doesn't need to be cleaned. That's a social construct. Dirt is natural. Leaves are biodegradable. We're disrupting the circle of life every time we sweep. The police showed up about 10 minutes later. 2 officers in a patrol car. They parked behind my sweeper and walked up to assess the situation. Officer Chen did most of the talking. Her partner, Officer Rodriguez, stood back and took notes. Officer Chen, ma'am, you need to get out of the street. Karen, I'm protesting environmental oppression. Officer Chen, you're blocking city services. Karen, good. These streets need to be free. Free to accumulate. Free to collect. Free to exist in their natural state. Officer Chen, streets aren't natural. They're paved. The whole point is to maintain them. Karen, that's exactly the kind of thinking that's destroying our connection to organic processes. Officer Chen, ma'am, I'm going to ask you one more time. Please move out of the street so this gentleman can do his job. Karen, I will not move. Let the dirt speak. Let the leaves have their say. Officer Chen looked at me. I shrugged. She looked at her partner. He shrugged. She turned back to the woman. Officer Chen, okay, we're done asking. You can either move voluntarily or we'll help you move. Your choice. Karen, you can't make me. I'm rooted here, like the dirt. I'm one with the debris. Officer Chen, Rodriguez, help me out here. The 2 officers reached down and gently took the woman by her arms. She went completely limp like a protest ragdoll. They lifted her easily and carried her to the sidewalk. She didn't fight exactly, but she made herself as heavy as possible and yelled the entire way. Karen, let the dirt speak. Let the dirt speak. Freedom for urban sediment. You can't silence the soil. They set her down on the grass next to the sidewalk. Officer Chen stood in front of her, while Officer Rodriguez walked back to me. Officer Rodriguez, you're good to go. We'll make sure she stays put. Me, thanks. This happened a lot. Officer Rodriguez, first time for street sweeper protests. We've had people chain themselves to trees, block bulldozers, sit in front of buses. But dirt rights, that's a new one. I climbed back into the sweeper and started it up. The brushes began spinning. I drove forward slowly. As I passed the woman on the grass, she was still yelling. Karen, you're erasing history. Every piece of debris tells a story. Let the gravel testify. I continued down Maple Street, cleaning as I went. The brushes picked up leaves, dust, small bits of trash, a crushed soda can. All the things that accumulate on streets when you don't clean them. In my mirrors, I could see Officer Chen talking to the woman, probably explaining that you can't just block city services because you've decided dirt has constitutional rights. By the time I reached the end of the block, the police were gone, and the woman was walking back toward her house, still shouting something about sediment oppression. The street behind me was clean. Water glistened on the curbs. The gutters were clear. I finished the rest of my route without incident. When I got back to the depot, everyone wanted to know about the holdup. Word had spread through dispatch. I told the story 3 times. My supervisor just shook his head. Supervisor, 7 years you've been doing this, and now someone decides dirt needs representation. Me, first time for everything. Supervisor, you think she'll be there next week? Me, I really hope not. But part of me knows she probably will be. Because people who think dirt has feelings and streets need consent usually don't change their minds after one encounter with police. They double down. They make signs. They recruit others to their cause. Next Thursday, I might show up to Maple Street and find 3 people sitting in the road with signs that say "Save our sediment" and "Debris deserves dignity." And if that happens, I'll just radio for police again and wait. Because that's the job. You can't reason with someone who thinks leaves have agency and dust particles have voting rights. You just clean around them as best you can and hope eventually they find something else to protest. Something that doesn't involve blocking municipal vehicles at 6:30 in the morning while screaming about letting the dirt speak.